Welcome to the Idaho Sheriff live stream broadcast with Dan Wilson for Kootenai County Sheriff. I'm your co-host Donna Wilson, here to screen your questions and comments. Together we focus our discussions on the liberty without compromise. To submit a question or comment, just type directly into the comment section on whichever platform you're watching. For the best, most interactive and full screen experience, join our Facebook or YouTube live feed. Also, thank you to those listening later on the Idaho Sheriff podcast. Take a moment to share the live stream to your page or profile so your friends and family can join in the discussion also. And now, here's the only candidate for Kootenai County Sheriff endorsed by Sheriff Richard Mack and former heavyweight champion David Nino Rodriguez. This is Dan Wilson.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Sorry that we're a little bit late. Technical difficulties, but my beautiful dime bride has been hard making this studio what it's become. So there's a little bit of glitch here and there, and I'm grateful for all the hard work you've been doing. Thank you.
Well, and our first disclaimer is we changed position in this room, and so it looks like we're remote in two different locations, but really you're just on a black wall and I'm on a gray one. So wait, let's break the matrix. There, see? We did it.
Well, we have much to talk about tonight, as we do every week. We've never had a week where we didn't have anything to talk about.
And then you're going to stop talking right when you said we don't have, we have a lot to talk about.
We have to talk about what a whirlwind of a week it's been the past, 7 days. Mm-hmm. We've been to so many meet and greets, town halls, I can't even keep track anymore. Having a lot of fun. It is so great to hear people that come out, and when I'm done speaking, they'll say, I used to not be in your camp. In fact, I had one lady tell me that she used to get angry when people would talk about me being in the sheriff's race. And then she slowly started to do her own research. And then eventually she came to the Dan Wilson camp because she understands that the message, which is the message for each and every citizen of Kootenai County, and frankly, every citizen in this great country, the United States of America, is one of liberty without compromise. So I want to give a big shout out, thank you to all who have helped this past week, not only in the meet and greets and hosting. We've had some extremely hospitable people the past, since even the beginning when we started running, but this last week, we sure thank all of you who have shown up at every one of our meet and greets events, and it's going to slack up just a little bit in the next couple of days. We get a chance to catch our breath. We have Athol Days this Saturday. That's the 10th up in Athol, Idaho. Come out and see us. We're going to be in the parade, and afterward, we will be walking around meeting with you. Whoever wants to come out and ask me questions or voice their concerns, I'm going to be there next week. It's going to be Fair Week towards Friday. Mm-hmm. So we've got a lot going on. I'm going to be there for 10 straight days. We'll have events scattered throughout. And now I think it's time that we talk about Kootenai County, all things liberty-minded. Reminder, if you have a question, drop them in the comments. We are eager. I am eager to answer your question, your concerns about safety and security right here in Kootenai County, equal protection under the law.
We've got Sarah that joined us on Facebook, and she says, hi, Dan.
Hello, Sarah.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Do I know this, Sarah?
Let us know if you're, she's saying hi like
she knows me?
Like she knows me. Maybe that's good or bad. We do not know.
So I really am it's new to me to have people come up and recognize, prior to running for sheriff, I pretty much kept to myself. And we know that the message is getting out. I don't think I can go anywhere right now in Kootenai County without somebody saying, hey, are you that guy?
Well, today I've got the screen wallpaper on my phone. That's Dan Wilson for Kootenai County Sheriff. And I had somebody look down at my phone and say, do you know him? And I was like, yes, my husband, Dan Wilson, vote for Dan Wilson, Kootenai County Sheriff. And she said, I'm voting for him. Really? I'm already voting for him.
Oh.
And
cool.
so that recognition, not only is the recognition happening, it seems, every time that we go out, but also the positive
And that's
impact
where I'm
and saying,
going with this.
I'm voting for you.
Yeah, that's ultimately where I was going with this, is that Monday night we were going to go speak at the Hayden Library, and we stopped off at a local store prior to that, and a guy pulls up as I'm walking into the store, and he jumps out and asks me if I'm Dan Wilson, and I said, yeah, and he said, man, I'm voting for you and your family. Got a chance to talk with him a little bit, but look, we have great people here, and the message of liberty without compromise is being heard soundly throughout the entire, not only Kootenai County, but the region. And I just appreciate all of you who are spreading the word. We're grassroots. We're not the deep staters, the establishment who gets a lot of its money from cannabis industry, from big developers in real estate, billionaires down out of Las Vegas, Arizona, and California. So I just really appreciate those of you who are standing by and ready to rumble.
Now I have a video I wanted to share because what goes with it is the internet comment of the week.
Okay, can't
Okay,
wait.
so
Have I
let's put
seen this one?
But yeah, you've seen it.
Somebody decides they're going to play by their own set of rules, who has the advantage? The people that make up the rules. And we keep losing over and over and over again because men will not stand up and say, we don't care about the lawsuits. And yes, I am willing to put my line in the sand and say, Kootenai County is going to be a place on this map in the country of saying, we are going to defy this tyranny that has taken place. And men do not stand up because they're afraid of their jobs. They're afraid of what they're going to be called. They're afraid of what's going to happen in the press. And understand this, my identity is not having to be sheriff. I never had any design to be sheriff until I saw a problem and saying it has to happen at the county level and nobody wants to stand up. So enter the lawfare. What's going to happen?
Yeah, that was from this past weekend.
Yeah, powerful message. That was to a packed room. I was going to say too, our most impactful events have really been those private meet and greets. So if you're interested in hosting one on your property, your backyard, in your home, in your shop, let us know, because those personal invites to your friends and neighbors have an impact, and those people are coming, they're hearing the message, and that was a lot of people in that room.
It was.
But so you were drawing a line in the sand. That was something that we then shared on our Facebook page. So that led to the internet comment of the week,
Okay.
if you're ready. So Josh Smith says, we already have a man in there that draws the line in the sand, Twinkle Toes.
Who, I'm a Twinkle Toes?
Yeah.
Well, he's never seen me dance, so obviously that can't be
There's
correct.
already a man in there drawing the line in the sand. So I guess that, and maybe I can
Well-
give you time to think about this, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
Has Norris drawn a line in the sand between us,
Well,
the
yes,
citizens, and the feds? Or?
yes, he's drawn a line in the sand between protecting the people and doing what he's supposed to, and cozying up with all of his buddies that are doing anything but helping the county. I love how often are we in groups and I say, raise your hand if you can tell us something that Sheriff Norris has done in the past 4 years. And without a fail, there is no hands that go up. Bob has been such a firecracker that everybody knows who he is, and everybody knows that he's done these great, wondrous things for the county, and he's gotten us so much closer and ready for the next pandemic, the next, end run around the Bill of Rights that they attempt to do. So yeah, he's drawn a line in the sand all right. Now, Twinkle Toes, and what did he say? He said it's a man. What
We
did he
already
say?
have a man in there who's drawn a line in the sand, Twinkle
Remember,
Toes.
this man is also a crier. And he cries all the time at mundane things when he's introducing himself as a Micah Grange member, or when he's tearing up because somebody said something mean about him in some paper. Or shall we also talk about when he was crying because the boat was sinking? He just keeps plugging the holes. So yeah, he's a man that cries, and we all are aware of that, Bob.
Yeah, I just think it seems that a guy that on one hand is that there's that much emotional instability. I don't imagine that being somebody that draws a line between us and tyranny.
No, we've asked this question. I mean, this is no secret to anybody that has listened to me present for the past 8-9 months. The whole reason I got into this race was Bob Norris whining, complaining, blaming at a state legislative town hall. And I was so appalled by his behavior. It was disgusting. It was pathetic. That was the one event, Bob. I want this to be seared in your brain, Bob. The reason that I came to challenge you is because how pathetic you were in front of constituents, in front of the state legislature. Instead of coming up with a plan and being a man and being a leader, you just complain. And it's like what you do all the other times. She constantly complains and blames and points the fingers and never accepts responsibility. So, but look, I want to remind folks of a couple things here. And that is, I am running as an independent, and I will be on the November ballot. I know people continually say, hey, I thought we just voted for sheriff. And you did vote in the primary for who you wanted to choose to go to the general election, but that's party affiliated. But as far as an independent like myself, we don't get a primary, although an ignorant individual today said, well, we ought to have primaries for independents. like went totally over top of his head, not realizing that independents are truly that. We're independents. We don't align with a particular party. So, but yes, you absolutely can vote for me. In fact, I'm going to give you permission in case you thought you had to get permission. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and give it to you anyway, even though it's not needed. You might be party affiliated right now with your registration. The general election, feel free to vote for the best candidate, not party affiliation. Now, if we go to slide number 6, I'm going to bring something up very important. And I'm going to quote George Washington here. And actually, it's not so much a quote as it's a summary. And this is taken from Mount Vernon that runs his foundation, his historical foundation. But Washington, who was our very first president, a very principled man, a man who served his nation for decades and did so with honor and giving all. He was very, very opposed to political parties. I've made no, hidden fact that I've been a Republican almost my entire life because the Republican Party closely aligns with what my beliefs are. But listen to what Washington has to say, or the summary of what Washington's view on political affiliation. Washington remained above the fray. He wanted to be president of all the American citizens. The most important reason he believed unity, not division, was necessary for a democratic republic to survive. Washington believed that political parties would divide and destroy the young United States. His thought in what became known as the Farewell Address in 1796 is clear. The spirit of party serves always to distract the public councils and enfeeble the public administration. It agitates the community with ill-founded jealousies and false alarms, kindles the animosity of one part against another, foments occasionally riot and insurrection. And it points out that throughout his political life and until his death in 1799, George Washington was confident that the country could and should function without the existence of political parties. What do you think about that?
Linda Cook says when a party loses its principles, it loses principled people.
I
put that up on the screen.
agree.
Thank you, Linda.
And to my point, so, I've been a Republican. I have, as you've known, not always been. In fact, I'm oftentimes disgusted with the Republican Party. And of course, I'm extremely disgusted with the Democrat Party, which has now become really neo-Marxist. But the reason I'm tired of Republicans acting the way they're doing is they sit there and they talk and talk and talk and talk about their high principles and how they want to be people of action. And I look at Twitter, I look at Instagram, other social media websites and online conservative clearinghouses for news. And I hear the same thing over and over and over and over again. But here's what I found out. most people seem to be talkers, not doers. And I know that's nothing new,
Yeah.
but when we've been discussing what's going on right now in Kootenai County, in a few seconds here, we're going to talk again about the difference between Bob Norris and myself when it comes to conservative values, is that there are too many people whose identity, unfortunately, is this Republican Party. Their social life is this Republican Party. They are not willing to go against the grain, even though they know that the alternative is far greater and will bring dangerous liberty in lieu of certain security into their lives. And yet they choose party over principle.
I've observed even in the local, I think a lot of times we have this idea in our head that to be politically involved, you have to be highly knowledgeable, educated, have something to offer. And I've had a chance to be immersed in some of these local, especially the women's Republican groups here in Kootenai County. And my observation is that we haven't moved too far beyond the high school lunchroom.
Right?
There are a lot of women that are mainly concerned with being in the popular crowd. You walk into the room and you say, okay, am I at the elite table in the front, stage right? Or am I back here in the back with some of the riffraff, and how long is it going to take to work my way up? And I'm sorry, but it's absolutely pathetic. And for me personally, that's not something that I want to subscribe to or be a part of. And these are people that work their way up to becoming decision makers in the group. And what does this have to do with conservative values and morals? I mean, we really are not setting ourselves apart as anything different
Well,
from
we've been
left
told
to right.
Party unity is of the absolute most importance. Meaning that they can have somebody that's a dirtbag, but because that person aligns themselves with the party, well, the party rules, and the party makes certain that nobody steps outside the party. And I want to implore all of you who are involved locally in whatever party to actually look at the substance of the individuals that you have before you to vote for. And I know people say, well, we've done that before.
Yeah.
But I'm having this conversation with you right now to call BS. The question is, do you really think we have 4 more, 8 more, 12 more years? Now is the time to reverse course and get us all back on a path towards liberty. And it doesn't matter, again, what your ideation is, what your belief, what your code, what your creed. If you believe in the Bill of Rights, if you believe in due process and equal protection under the law, you need to look yourself in the mirror and you need to say, am I going to be duped one more time by party leaders who say I absolutely must vote down party line? Or am I going to be an independent myself and actually vote for somebody who loves this country and has expressed how much he loves this country and the community and the county, and is the best person suited at this time in history to fill the seat of sheriff?
In some of the local political chat groups on Facebook, the conversation will so rapidly turn toward what's going on a national level. Trump and making fun of Harris, whatever that is in the national spotlight. And when sometimes we try to redirect it to local races or to say, let's have a debate between Norris and Wilson, let's get back locally. There was a lady that chimed in, she's like, are we really talking about this again?
So is she so high and mighty that, she basically thinks that, once again, if you're calling yourself a Republican, that you don't believe in our Republican principles, which is we actually get to challenge our representatives every couple of years? Or are you one of those people that believes like what we came from in England, where we have either royalty, we have the clergy, or in most cases here, nobility? Do you think that somehow that we owe allegiance to nobility, and because somebody has held the position, or you believe that that person is the person for the job, that somehow the rest of us in this representative republic don't get a chance to go through the process? I mean, How ignorant.
Well, and that national election's not going to save our county.
No,
And-
the
and
national
they're-
election isn't. In fact, Trump is not going to save America. The only person that can save America is God. Us turning back and repenting of things that we've been all doing wrong corporately and individually. But everything starts ground zero right here at the county level.
Before Dan moves on to the next segment, I just want to remind everybody, if you have a question or comment, or you just want to chime in on the conversation, you can do that by putting that right into the comment section on whichever platform you're joining us. And for a more interactive experience, if you're there on Instagram, you can do that on Facebook or YouTube and get full screen. Yeah.
So I want to talk again about the differences between Bob Norris and myself. And so for my friends who, I was just speaking with you, you're in the Republican Party right now, and you've been told you must vote party line, because to not do so will be detrimental and will split the party. It's important that you vet yourself, those that want to run for positions. Now, we've talked about this so many times that it's now common. When I was running as a Republican before I switched to independent, I submitted answers to a survey that the KCRCC, which is the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee, presented to candidates for each office. And I answered those without seeing my opponent, Bob Norris, or any other individual that may have filled out that survey. But we did eventually find the published survey from Bob Norris and his answers and mine, and Don put them together side by side, specifically so that you can look easily to find the differences between Dan Wilson and Bob Norris. People say Dan Wilson, all he does is he flings mud, and all he does is, he rags on Bob Norris all the time. Now, there is a lot of truth, and if you're just watching social media, you may get that impression. Those who have seen me live or come to a town hall, they understand that there's a lot more substance there that often is missed in some of these social media posts. But I want to read to you some of the survey questions and response for you to start thinking about this if you are on the fence or if you are solidly in the Bob Norris camp. So, randomly, survey question. They're not numbered, but you can go to theidahosheriff.com. You can look at the KCRCC survey. You can download it. You can compare Bob's answers and my answers. And here it is. What is the purpose of government? So the question to the candidates, what is the purpose of government? Bob Norris's response. Limited government, protection of rights, maintain law and order, national security. So that's what his definition is of purpose of government. Dan Wilson's response. Government's primary purpose is to secure our rights of life, liberty, and property, which are the natural laws of God. Government exists to secure our rights in three ways. Number one, from domestic violence, that those that would perpetrate violence against another person or their property. 2, protection against foreign threats. 3, lastly, from the government itself through the separation of powers. Those powers not enumerated by Congress are left to the states. Government carries out the protection of our rights through 4 means. A, by the legislature who passes laws. B, by the executive that prosecutes lawbreakers. C, by the judiciary that tries people for crimes. And D, by the executive that administers the punishment upon conviction by a jury of their peers. Now, do you think Bob just didn't go into detail because he thinks he has it in the bag, or do you think that maybe Bob doesn't really fully understand from a conservative viewpoint and historically what the purpose of government truly is?
Oh, I think it's both. I know we've asked that question before.
What do you think?
Yeah.
All of you out there, let me know what you think.
This is what that vetting survey looks like on the website, and you can download, print that out, share it with your friends. Like, you can't have enough of the word getting out. As much as we feel like we're on repeat on some of these things, we know we've got brand new people joining in this mission every single week.
Yeah.
So it bears repeating, and something, when you want to help spread that message of liberty without compromise and this important election coming up in November, having a printout of this survey be a good thing to have on hand.
Let's do one more. The question, describe why you are running for this particular office.
Do you know what page that's on?
Page 3. Second grid down. Describe why you are running for this particular office. Now, Bob Norris, who again, we didn't change anything. The all caps is Bob Norris. He was probably doing it on his MDC while he was in his car at a coffee event, Meet Your Sheriff. All right. Why you are running for this particular office. Bob Norris. Protect our rights and community. Okay. Cool. My response.
I'm sorry, I can't get around the all caps.
Well, it's actually.
Is he like, it's like fudging?
No, it's a cop thing. So
Oh,
when we used
that's
to
right,
work
that's
on
right.
the MDCs and we were, working
That's
with
right.
CAD, you would type everything in all caps.
That's right.
But, yeah. Okay, well, that's what you get for a lifetime cop, though. All right, Dan Wilson's response. I will be the sheriff to protect all Kootenai County citizens' rights with leadership, enthusiasm, innovation, and extreme ownership. I will become the buffer between an out-of-control federal government and the people. So, go to the idahosheriff.com, download your own survey, pass it around. It's also, I think, important that you look and find out how little knowledge Bob has about some key conservative values. And if you don't believe me, I mean, look, he has these coffee meet and greets all over. Why don't you go and ask him some of these questions and dig in a little more? How much does he really know about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights? They're the same document, but yet they are separate because one came before the other. And I don't know that he fully understands things like, Article 6 might be something that you might want to press him on. Now, Bob, go ahead and Google it. Go to Wikipedia. You can probably get a cheater pretty quick. But look, you probably should be able to elaborate a lot more, especially for a guy that's had this job for 4 years. I mean, if you're going to disrespect the people this much by phoning it in, that's bad. But if you're really that ignorant, folks, when you are faced with government overreach, you better have a sheriff that truly understands the history of this country and what it truly means to be a constitutional sheriff.
And look, back in 2021, there were Kootenai County citizens on the sideline of probably the Coeur d'Alene Parade holding signs. I love, Bob Norris elected into office. I love our constitutional sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
We have a responsibility to understand, especially if you're going to hold up a sign like that and declare that that's who Bob Norris is. You have a responsibility to say, well, is he really? Ask that question. Where's the proof, since we're all into proof?
Yeah, the best indicator of somebody's future performance is based upon their past performance,
And
right?
he keeps showing us.
Keep showing us.
He keeps showing us. Before Dan, again, moves along, I do want to say we added a feature to the website, which is because it's so packed with information now, and we're building on that every single day as we learn more. We have more contact with people. We understand more about the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. You've done more records requests. I mean, we're learning things every single day. So I added this search bar to the page so that you can come in here and type anything. So if you had a conversation with somebody and they say it's a video about Bob Norris's retirement, just type in those keywords into the search bar and you're going to get results that are going to help you find what you're looking for, instead of feeling like you have to scour the menu and scroll through. It'll take you more right straight there.
I think everyone around the entire country, if they're paying any kind of attention, feels like something, in fact, they're expecting something to happen. A couple days ago, the stock market took a major dive. President Trump was nearly assassinated. The list goes on and on and on. We hear wars and rumors of wars. We see a lot of debauchery. I can't believe I said that. Debauchery.
I like that.
Debauchery?
Yes.
Debauchery.
Yes.
Debauchery. It's unsettling right now what is going on. And, one of the things that I want to keep encouraging all the citizens of Kootenai County and the country to remember: dangerous liberty over certain security. You gotta be thinking along this lines, folks. Dangerous liberty over certain security. What does that mean? That means that you will take the risks. You know that there isn't a net to catch you on each and everything. But the liberty portion, where you get to pursue and to be free of strings, of certain guidelines that you wouldn't normally have, far outweighs the benefit of somebody promising you, if you give up part of your liberty, just a little bit right now, well, we're going to give you great security. Case in point,
I was going to say, give us an example.
Now, the Patriot Act was something that was forced down the throats of the American citizens. There's no way that they didn't have that thing written way before 9/11. To put, 2,000 pages out, where it's okay just for this little group of people, give us a little bit of, those guaranteed rights that the government is supposed to uphold. We're going to take it and tweak it just a little bit so that we can ensure your safety and part of the inconvenience, part of the liberty is we are going to track everything that you say on your cell phones, every text message, every email, every phone conversation, every voicemail. And you know what? We are going to start putting facial recognition everywhere you go, but it's for your good. And in COVID, your good was being locked up so you won't catch a virus. But I'll tell you what, government throughout history has been shown, once they are given this kind of power, they abuse it for the small few that would benefit from it. And that is where tyranny truly gets its foothold. And we have tyranny all the way around us. I had some loudmouth today say, show us the tyranny, show us the tyranny.
I saw that.
I'm like, well, number one, you're either an incredibly ignorant individual or you sold out, and you obviously have bought it hook, line, and sinker. Because all you have to do is look around the past 4 or 5 years to see tyranny reigning. When you have federal law enforcement that violates warrants and the Fourth Amendment on a continual basis, that lies with all impunity, that goes after citizens that they should be protecting and forego going after true terrorists and those that are crossing our border to the tunes of millions per year, not here for, what do you call it? Sanctuary. Mm-hmm. So, the problem is that too many people during the scamdemic acquiesced their dangerous liberty for a certain security. Now, the difference between Bob and I want to point this out, is that Bob Norris was at that time retired, 30 years law enforcement experience in the largest sheriff's department in the country, Los Angeles. He worked under JRIC, which is the Joint Regional Intelligence Center. He worked under DHS. And he should know better. He brags about handling assets like the CIA, the FBI, U.S. attorneys, so on and so forth, trained with Shin Bet and the Mossad. So this guy really should be, pretty capable of understanding what tyranny looks like. But, he was advocating that we give away part of our dangerous liberty for a certain security when he, as a candidate who should know better, was lecturing the people in Kootenai County for gathering in groups larger than what the CDC recommended. He was driving around town and, he noticed that people were getting in groups that were larger than what they should. And of course, then he also lectures us and tells us that we need to trust trusted sources like the CDC, Panhandle Health, and the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, that communist organization. So that was Bob Norris's stance. While he's trying to bloviate and tell everybody that he stood up for your rights during COVID, which was almost completely over in 2021 when he actually took office. When he said he's not going to make you wear a mask, he won't enforce it, as if, right?
Yep.
Now, Dan Wilson, and I'm going to be very brief because I can tell you're getting nervous. I'm going to go into a long diatribe. But the difference was...
It's because we got some comments and questions.
This thing is that when I was facing 2020 and we were told by the governor of Washington to shut down, we didn't obey. In fact, we did exactly what every dangerous liberty minded American does, and that is defy tyranny. And we are obedient to a higher force, and we do what we need to do to protect our people. So, Bob, I'm glad that you were running around in your basement or whatever it was that you were telling people, lecturing them, because you obviously weren't smart enough from a constitutional standpoint that you were willing to tell people to give away part of their dangerous liberty for a foolish security that later on we all now know was complete foolishness. Now, some of us at the time, because we are liberty-minded, already knew.
Bob Norris is really good at putting himself on video. They look like hostage videos. That's just what it is. Instagram, Maggie Sue says, we need more guys like you. She's supporting you from Canyon County.
God bless
Thank
you.
you for joining us.
God bless you, Maggie.
So this was on an earlier topic. Say it louder for the people in the back, Dan. Both parties lost their way long ago and are about as useful as a football bat. Independent for the win.
Yeah. So how long are we going to wait for Congress to actually do something that means something? The Democrats get in, or the new neo-Marxist party is really what they are, because the rhinos are what the Democrats used to be. And we keep hearing every time, just vote us in this last time and we're going to change things. The most impotent body I have ever seen when it comes to protecting personal liberties and holding people accountable is the United States Congress. And when it's completely run by the Democrats, there isn't a more socialistic Congress or body in the world. So anyway, off rant.
Bringing it back local, I'm going to go back to this one. Deputy Northwest from Instagram has a two-part question, so we'll start with
How you feeling, Deputy?
How you doing?
Little sore today?
Once elected, how will you connect with deputies and the citizens? And that's like, hey, this office of the sheriff, there's two parts to that job. So how are you going to do that?
Well, look, the first thing that I'm going to do as I bring everybody together to share my vision, my extreme ownership vision of the office, we're going to be able to have a Q&A. We're going to be able to clear the air. So any perceived issues that they have with me, I'm going to address it. Going forward, you will routinely see me coming out on patrol. You're going to see me in the jail. You're going to see me in dispatch. You're going to see me floating around where I can actually have one-on-ones with people. And I want my deputies to understand, obviously, chain of command, but I also want them to feel like that they can be listened to when they have something legitimate that needs to be said. And I'm going to always be open to that. And it's the same model that we use with extreme ownership at my business. So that's the way that we're going to do it. I'm holding all supervisors from command staff all the way down to line level supervisors accountable for what they are doing to make the environment pleasant and doable for the deputies. But also, if there's things that need to be corrected, they better be correcting it, because my belief is it's not what you preach, it's what you tolerate. So that's coming from the deputies. I will follow one last thing on that, and that is this. I will not participate with any of the Deputy Sheriff's Association. I think that there's far too much of an incestuous relationship right now with Bob Norris and the Deputy Sheriff Employee Association that was recently reformed in 2020 when Bob Norris and Brice Mutari came on board. I don't think that the employees should be paying for favors, which it is absolutely apparent that they are now doing. Many of the E-Board members, Nick Franson, Captain Heil, and others also hold levels of supervision at command staff level with Bob Norris. In fact, many of them flank him when he goes to events, even off duty. Some of these guys show up. So that will not be happening under Dan Wilson. Connecting with the community. Don and I have talked about this. I think that this right here is one of the best ways for us to engage the community. Not everybody can meet locally at a time that is convenient to pull the family out. One of the things that I have been critical of this administration is that these town halls that they have rarely have anybody under 50 years old. And there's a whole host of reasons. Sometimes it's just plain people don't want to get involved. But we've not done enough to actually engage the men and women in this community, but especially the men who want to protect their families, who see danger, they want to be the leaders, they want to be a part of something, but they are continually told, well, if you want to help out, buy a cup of coffee or, a meal, or if you really want to help, go down and try out to become a deputy. And you can just see when the 18 to 45-year-old generation doesn't show up, it's because nothing engages them. They just don't really feel like they're a part. And unfortunately, it's mostly gray hairs and blue hairs at these town halls. So we will be meeting not only on I don't know if it's going to be weekly, but a very regular occurrence of these similar Q&A lives. But I will be going around into the community because I am a representative of the people. I just won't be doing it with a heavy tax burden like Bob Norris is doing, where I'm bringing 12 deputies. My belief is that there's no reason that I can't go and do what I need to do with, one or two at the most, but otherwise, unless it's specific to have captains and lieutenants come to a town hall, we're just flat out not going to do that. We're going to save the taxpayers a lot of money. This whole Coffee with Your Sheriff event that Bob Norris is holding, in fact, he's got another one coming up here in September 4th. I believe it's on a Wednesday at 10 a.m. And it's a town hall on scams and scammers. Well, he apparently doesn't think much for the working class families. That young generation that I was talking about, the 18 to 45, that young generations. And he holds these at times where it's completely preposterous. So anyway, that's my answer.
We've also noted that at town halls that Bob Norris hosts, and you've got the MC, Bruce Matari.
That's because he's a special deputy and he's Bob's PR guy.
Yes,
the county commissioner
it's your
has to
weekly
be
reminder.
has to be the PR for the sheriff.
Maybe it's your daily reminder.
Yeah.
But one thing we've noted, they'll flat out, they'll look you straight in the face and tell you, we're all about transparency and integrity. And then they'll hold a town hall. But what you need to note is that they will typically provide everybody who shows up with a survey that has a list of answers.
Well,
So
it has
it's
a list of
guided
topics that they want you to choose multiple questions on which one of these
So
things.
they're absolutely guiding the conversation.
Change agent.
There's no right or wrong answer. You're just picking from a list, so your multiple choice list. They use that to then guide the discussion when they're done with that
And
segment.
the majority of the people are for protecting gun rights. Well, duh.
Yeah.
And when we're North Idaho, Bob, do you really think anybody attending your town hall is not going to put keeping your Second Amendment rights protected up there high? I mean, it's so laughable.
And they're not going to enter questions into that survey that are items they don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
And then you're writing your questions down on cards. Those are curated, and Bruce Matari is deciding what he does or does not want to ask. So just these are things little. I mean, I think they're big things, but maybe little to you if you have. I haven't really thought about that, but going around saying he's our most accessible, most transparent sheriff, and I like based on
Well,
what?
I've been told one of the reasons that he's out so often by his own deputies have told me this. It's because he makes such a mess of things that the undersheriff has to continually go back and clean up behind him, because he'll say one thing that's completely ignorant or he just shoots from the hip, kind of like what he's done with this Penny Collinson tort claim, and he runs his mouth and says things that his people have to come back and clean up behind him.
Yeah, if he's truly done what's being claimed, and that'll
They're
all
like,
be
please
sorted out.
go out and don't come to the office.
Stop talking.
Yeah.
Second part to this question. I like this. Will you complete or go through post to get your Idaho Leo certification?
Who's this question from?
Deputy Northwest.
Oh, great question. So a couple things. One, I'm still post certified, so there won't be any issue there. We'll button up anything administratively on my end that we need to. I will also continue to go through the post leadership courses that I think is about 100 hours. I'm always a big fan of continuing education. In fact, when I was a reserve officer, I often put myself through continuing education and courses that I wasn't even required to do. So I think knowledge is important. Now, there is a statute that an elected official does not have to be post certified. So I would not have to per se do that, but now I want to lead the men and women by example. So I will be getting my official post certification. As far as I know now, with everything that I do know, Bob Norris did not qualify to get post-certified. In fact, I was just looking up a record today, and Bob is not post-certified. So I hope you guys understand what I just said. Bob Norris is not post-certified from the records requests that I reviewed. And he wasn't even qualified after such a long span of lack of service from whenever he retired, 2013, 2014 to 2020. So statutorily, he would have had to go back down and get recertified. So anyway.
I just want to let you know that Mike P-Tomb's all whipped up.
Oh,
but
he's always whipped
he's
up.
been put into a timeout because he was being a little,
What was he saying?
out there. He missed you last night at a huge community event.
Mm-hmm.
When they flew and landed the helicopter again.
Well, Mike,
You're gonna have to do some more fundraisers to cover the fuel for that.
Mike,
bad boy.
did you right? Yeah,
Right.
coffee.
Yeah.
Proceeds.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Unlike some of the other politicians in this community, I don't go to other people's events to upset them. So if you were looking for me to go do that, sorry, you've been hanging out with the wrong crowd, and you're just not going to get that response out of me.
But here's a little tidbit. Mike P-Tomb, huge fan of Bob Norris,
Mm-hmm.
also administers or is an administrator on North Idaho News. So they
Yeah.
can get a little buddy
So
buddy.
North
little
Idaho
buddy
News
there.
may not be fully impartial.
Maybe not.
Okay.
Just a thought. Yeah.
Mike, if that's wrong, let us know. I mean, please let us know, and we'll correct the record. So.
Brooke wants to know, when will Bob Norris debate you? Since we're talking a whole lot
Good
about Bob
question.
tonight.
Well,
She said I've got so many friends that say they'd love to watch, but there's been no response from the Norris camp. But we, the people, deserve to hear you both debate the important issues.
agreed. Yeah, we're waiting. We have put out our press release to all major media sources throughout the region, and there hasn't been anybody that it has not been sent out to. In fact, the rules are pretty simple. We have recommended that the debate take place under the guidelines of the Fair Election Commission.
Federal Election
I don't know why I
Commission.
say fair, because I want...
Well, we want it to be fair.
But look, it's not our rules, so I think that there's nothing wrong with getting a impartial moderator and agreeing on a venue and rules of conduct. And yeah, I'm waiting. In fact, I would debate Bob 5 minutes from now if he dropped by. Bob, if you want my address, well, I'm guessing you probably already have my address. Come by and I'll debate you right now tonight.
Mike P-Tomb can probably facilitate it. He could probably give Bob a ride. Chauffeur.
Mm-hmm.
So this helicopter comes up. I mean, they were flying it yesterday at a community event.
Right.
I heard families saying it was their favorite part.
You know what its new name
Kids
is?
love
It's
it.
called Able One, but the folks in Kootenai County have started to call it Annoying One. So
I heard there were rumors that it was flying overhead today with sirens going off, and apparently it is equipped with one. But why do we keep talking about what is there to uncover that related to this helicopter being owned by a nonprofit?
well, let's talk about the low-hanging fruit, which is this. I have never observed in local government anything more shady than what's going on. So let's see if I can do it really fast, not to bore everybody. The helicopter is owned by a private corporation, and it also has a 501c3, which means it will take donations and the donors get a tax write-off. That's important. It's registered with the Idaho Secretary of State as a 501c3. However, there are no known IRS documents to validate that this Kootenai County Regional Air Support Unit is indeed a 501c3. So we don't know where the dollars, when I said this last week or a couple weeks ago, I donated $5 to see what would happen. We know that in front of the Board of County Commissioners, when they were selling this to the county, they stated that it was a nonprofit 501c3. They just flat out said that. And yet, when I got my receipt, there was nothing on there that says it was tax deductible. I inquired, I sent an email, and I know that they're not going to answer me on purpose because I'm pretty certain what the answer is. At this point, we're going to assume that it is not indeed a 501c3. Okay, what else? So this 501c3 was registered, and let's see if I'm saying this right. It was, registered, filed with the Secretary of State under the agency of Lieutenant Mark Ellis. So Mark Ellis is a registered agent. They originally used the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. Lieutenant Mark Ellis oversees the support unit for the Sheriff's Office. So you have this kind of weird thing going on. They had 5 $100,000 donors from big business here in Kootenai County. Another $200,000 with the tribe, which we'll shelve that conversation to a later date. But you can't really tell where the Kootenai County Regional Air Support Unit 501c3 nonprofit begins, or I should say ends, and the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office begins. You see, when they finally got this memo of understanding between the county commissioners, the clerk, the sheriff, and the Kootenai Regional Air Support Unit, they signed off the contract with the CFO of the nonprofit, which is Lieutenant Mark Ellis. So the county entered into a contract with a corporation that is run by one of their employees and also the employee that oversees the operation. Now, this is where things get even weirder. So we know that they requested and received $100,000 of civil asset forfeiture money to put on forward-looking infrared and to put a searchlight on it. This helicopter does not have hoist capability, so it can be used for search and rescue, but all they can do is really identify from the air whatever target they're looking at. But when I put a records request in to find out where the receipts are for this $100,000 that were spent, the county, the clerk, and the sheriff's office was not able to provide it. No records exist. I did ask Mark Ellis. He wanted me to go through another bunch of hoops, but he knows dang good and well that what I requested had already been submitted appropriately, and he was going to play games. So here's what it is. The helicopter right now does not have, or I should say the program does not have any valid receipts for how they spent the $100,000 to back up the $100,000 check that was written by the county to an actual organization.
Effort.
Let's see. Then there's the other issue, which is insurance. So under the memo of understanding their contract, we inquired.
Do we have any visuals for this?
We could go to one of the slides. I think tonight, for time, I'm just going to briefly talk about it. But so once again, they entered into this memo of understanding, and the nonprofit is supposed to provide its own insurance coverage. I requested that coverage. Nobody at the county can find it. It doesn't exist, was what I was told. About a week later, I received an email saying, oh, county legal signed off and here's the policy. Well, I pull it up and it's not a policy. It's like a cover sheet. It's not even a certificate of liability insurance. What it was is it was a combination of here's who we're going to do for extra insured in a vanilla sense. Here's what the premium cost is, and here's the remittance address if you want to write a check. And I request one more time. Okay, where is the insurance policy that the Kootenai County Regional Air Support Unit is supposed to provide according to the contract that was written and signed in 2023? We're already towards the latter end of 2024, or halfway through rather, and we have nothing to show. So they cannot provide this, which leads me and other law enforcement experts in the region, some of who actually ran air support units, have said that we believe, based on the information that we have right now, that the county is at considerable risk for liability if that helicopter goes down. So, look, if the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, the clerk, or whoever actually has these documents to prove otherwise, we welcome you to bring them to us for review, for me and my team. However, if you don't, we are going to be pursuing this, because right now it appears that this helicopter has put the county at considerable risk if anything were to happen. Now, the last thing that I am going to say is, and I had a hunch about this, but I put a records request in for license plate recognition software. We're not going to talk about that tonight. We'll talk about it most likely next week. But I pointed out that a couple weeks ago that one of the pilots of this Cooney County Regional Air Support Unit, volunteer pilot, also happens to be a salesman with Motorola. And when I got my records request back, it absolutely confirmed that the pilot of this regional air support, who crashed his helicopter 2 years ago while he was working on patrol, I believe it was Pilot Air, and it sounds like he was actually, moving from, or traveling rather, from Spokane, Cooney County to Huntington Beach where he worked. He crashed his helicopter 2 years ago. He retired. He's a motivational speaker. Not saying anything's wrong with the guy. I'm not disparaging the man himself, but here's the problem, again, with this helicopter. So you have a pilot that is volunteering with, some potential risk to the county. Again, we don't know if he's been cleared to fly or not. Nobody knows. But he happens to be the salesperson who quoted a $103,000 contract to the county for these license plate recognition software. So the cars that the county have, apparently from what I'm told, already had these license plate reader cameras installed into them. Don't know if they're coming stock or if they paid for an upgrade. But Motorola has been giving Cooney County for several months in hopes that they're going to sign a contract with them, a demo mode for these things. And it's big surveillance, doesn't matter what they say, dangerous liberty over a certain security. But this $103,000 5-year contract was quoted by the individual who is flying the helicopter. Look, I don't care what you say. It gives off all the appearances of pay to play. And when Cooney County Sheriff's Office, the clerk, the Board of County Commissioners, or the County Regional Air Support Unit themselves are not transparent, then the rest of us have to wonder why and what's being hidden. Not to imply that any of those individuals at the clerk or the county commissioners are doing anything nefarious. I place this all at the inability of Bob Norris to run a tight ship the way a career lawman that was an administrator, a paper pusher for quite a while, should have understood the importance of policies and transparencies. And I don't think that your FAA registration and your operations and everything are meshing. So more to come on that. But folks, this is what Bob Norris has done to the county. And they continually fight on records requests over and over again, but they're not going to win. We will eventually get the information that we want. And when we do, we're leaving it all for you guys to see yourself, to come to your own conclusions. What do you guys think about that? What do you think about this special helicopter that's supposed to be a 2-year trial, no cost to the county, that's already cost us over $120,000 minimum, not including all the gear? Now, Bob tries to say, well, we had to buy this anyway, but I bet you we didn't have 6 or 7 TAC officers when we were having a TAC officer assigned to Air One. So look, they can play all these little games and numbers, but it gives all the appearances, again, of not being on the up and up.
We're at a little over an hour now, and is there anything else you want to bring to the table before we wrap it up tonight?
We've got about 11 weeks left. And if you really believe that Dan Wilson is the man for the hour, the man that needs to be put into the office of the sheriff to bring back balance and accountability to this county and to prepare us for the events that are coming down the line, then I need you to get out and mobilize. I need you to disregard any kind of embarrassment you might have by letting your Republican friends or Democrat friends or others know that you're supporting me. You guys, I need you to get out and spread the message of liberty without compromise. I need you to like and share our posts, help us get that algorithm going in the right way. It is working, but we want it to reach an even greater audience. If you can, volunteer, sign up for my campaign posse. Go to our website, theidahosheriff.com. You can give securely whatever donation you can. We welcome it. We are not getting big corporations. We did get, though, just for full transparency, we have some new favorite people, favorite patriots from Hawaii who have been generously giving, and I'm going to disclose this so that people understand. They have property in the area and they heard the message and they love the message of liberty without compromise. So we now have donors from Hawaii. So That's pretty cool, but have residences here. Go to the website, theidahosheriff.com, get your apparel. The Liberty, neither one of us are wearing it tonight. So we have the Liberty Without Compromise, Dan Wilson for Kootenai County Sheriff apparel, and we greatly appreciate all around Kootenai County seeing people wearing the shirts, driving with the car magnets with Dan Wilson for Sheriff, or the Liberty Without Compromise bumper stickers.
The Liberty Without Compromise shirts are a great conversation starter. So for those of us who, I'm not going to door knock, I'm not going to interrupt people, it oftentimes is as easy as wearing that shirt and somebody says, I love that, Liberty Without Compromise, and you see the Dan Wilson on the back, and it has started conversations. We've got a friend of our campaign, Sal, he's been wearing it to the gym.
Yeah.
And there have been people that just, based on that statement there, I'm voting for Wilson.
Yeah.
So that's and one other thought I want to add, for those of us who are parents and grandparents, if you've got relationships with the younger generation, those 20s, 30s, into their 40s, and they are family members of yours or kids that you know who haven't typically been politically active because it's not an interesting scene, reach out to them, turn them on to Dan, follow Dan on Instagram, let them know, listen to what he has to say so that they're inspired and find hope in that message. And we need them. We need you involved in that campaign, standing shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah. Wars and rumors of wars. We have heard this quite often in the past several months, the past several years. And I don't want you to panic. Instead, I want you to take everything with sobriety. I want you to make plans. Don't rush out. Don't do anything knee-jerk. But start getting prepared. Be prepared for anything. Be ready for anything. Be prepared for the worst. And help make certain that those around you that you love and that you are in their direct circles are also getting ready. It's far better for us to have, things that we need in storage and not need it, rather than to need it and to need it and not have it. So be encouraged, though. Don't let all these little rumors and things that are happening at a national level discourage you. Be ready for anything, because we did not descend from fearful men, but we descended from men who understood the times. They never traded their dangerous liberty for a certain security. They pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. Their blood runs through almost every one of us. And I ask Donna frequently when I'm down in our cigar lounge looking up at that painting of the signing of the Declaration, is what I'm doing right now worthy enough to be in the presence of those men? Ask yourself that same question. Is what you're doing good enough to be considered to be in the presence of those great men that went before us, those that fought and shed their blood for liberty without compromise? God bless you all. Stay strong and of good courage. May God bless Kootenai County. May God bless America. See you later.
If you had a question coming in at the end there, remember you can join us every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. for our live stream broadcast. If it's a really pressing question, please email us, info@theidahosheriff.com, and we'll answer that rapidly so you don't have to wait until next week. Thank you for joining us tonight for the Idaho Sheriff live stream broadcast with Dan Wilson for Kootenai County Sheriff. We're here, as I said, every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, that's @The Idaho Sheriff, to receive automatic reminders when we go live. And for the Idaho Sheriff podcast, listen and subscribe wherever you get your shows.
Can I finally go now and have a cigar and
Are
drink
you
a little
leaving?
whiskey?
Yeah. As always, learn more about Dan Wilson, his platform, and his viewpoints on our website at theidahosheriff.com. It is time.
Time for a cigar.
This
And
week
some good
already.
living.
It's Wednesday, and we're
I'm
like
going to
there
enjoy my
this week.
dangerous liberty.
Let's do that.
Good night, folks. Take care.